last week on Legally Kidnapped.
Good evening. Our top story this week. A family court judge from Texas is in hot water after his daughter uploads a 7-year-old video to YouTube that goes viral of him beating the living shit out of her with a belt, sparking allegations of child abuse. Judge William Adams will not be charged with any crimes, however, because the statute of limitations on child abuse cases in Texas is only 5 years. In Alaska this week, a tribal group wins a court victory allowing them to regulate their own child support services. In South Dakota, the American Civil Liberties Union is looking to see if the state broke any child protection laws by snatching so many Native American children and placing them in foster care instead of with relatives over the last several years. In California, the U.S. Immigration Service and the Justice Department teams up with Child Protective Services by throwing over 1,000 kids in state care while their parents are in jail or in deportation proceedings. In Washington, an overhaul of the foster care system wins approval in an agreement to settle a class action lawsuit that was filed in 1998, and now supposedly foster kids will move around a lot less and stay with their siblings a lot more often. In Ohio, Cincinnati's Children's Services reaches its breaking point after $30 million in budget cuts and a 48% reduction in staff has led to case overloads and other problems. A new report reveals that Nebraska's efforts to privatize their child welfare system lacked specific goals, had no timetables, and failed to consider the true cost of reform, which is now $30 million more than expected. And in Michigan, families are blaming the state's privatized foster care system for their having to spend thousands of dollars just to get their kids out of a hostile bureaucracy. A group of grandparents from Connecticut are pushing to change state law to give them more rights to visit with their grandchildren. In Kentucky, a judge orders the child protective industry to release the records on child abuse deaths, stating that the state has no legal basis for refusing to disclose such information. New Jersey is violating the establishment clause for allowing foster parents to convert their foster kids to their own religions. And the Michigan State Education Chief blasts the legislature's new anti-bullying law as a joke after new wording is added that allows bullying on religious and moral grounds. According to a new survey, many parents are helping their kids to lie about their ages so they can get onto Facebook before the age of 13. And experts are now saying that half of the foster kids in the United States of America will not graduate high school. In India this week, a 13-year-old boy in an orphanage comes forward with a rape accusation. A spokesman for the Republic of New Zealand says that the country's family court system is broken beyond repair and should be replaced with mediation services. In Belfast, a father's rights group targets a family court building for a protest. The Philippines boasts that the world's 7 billionth person was born in their country. And in Scotland, a social worker who is babysitting a child gets drunk and tips over the baby carriage with the kid inside. In Australia this week, a family court judge bans parents from allowing their kids to watch R-rated movies. And a DHS office in Victoria is under investigation for closing the case on a 4-year-old autistic boy who was killed in the home. In Canada, the fatality inquiry into the death of Samantha Martin wraps up and awaits the judge's findings. And a couple of foster parents in Ontario get 7 years in jail for sexually abusing foster kids. In England, fathers and grandparents will continue to get screwed in the secret family courts as a family law review is published that will not recommend giving them the right of access to the child after a divorce. British social services councils with poor child adoption rates are to be named, shamed, and removed from their duties for failing to find permanent families for foster kids. Older foster parents in Birmingham are quitting because they don't want to bother with the excruciating new training requirements. And social workers are complaining about heavy caseloads caused by the child abuse hysteria that has taken over the UK in the aftermath of the Great Baby P failure. In entertainment news this week, a 20-year-old woman accuses Justin Bieber of fathering her baby after a backstage encounter at a concert in Los Angeles, which he denies ever happened, prompting a number of his crazed fans to start issuing online death threats against the alleged mother of Bieber's love child. And an editor for the John and Kay Plus 8 show gets busted for child porn possession, which John is all freaked out about. In Indiana, a pissed-off parent gets arrested for telling cops and CPS agents that they'd be killed for snatching his baby during a family dispute and trying to bribe the cops with $1,000 to let him out of the patrol car. An Indiana CPS supervisor gets arrested for giving a client drugs and sending her inappropriate pictures of himself. In South Carolina, a former foster parent gets busted for molesting 5 boys boys. And a foster dad from Maryland gets 110 years in jail for raping teenage boys in his care. In Idaho, a pair of foster parents were arrested for killing a 2-year-old girl back in 2009. They bond out of jail for $25,000 apiece, and now police are saying that they may have even hurt another child in their care. In Montana, a court date is set for a foster mother who is charged with negligent homicide after leaving a kid locked in a hot car for several hours. And in Oklahoma, a foster mother is found guilty of killing a 3-year-old in her care. A foster mother from Las Vegas loses an appeal to overturn her murder conviction in the death of a 7-month-old foster child. A foster mother from Virginia gets 10 years for shaking a baby who later died while in her care. In Vermont, a foster mother is found guilty of causing serious injuries to a foster child, although she still says that her brother did it. And a Las Vegas CPS agent who held an underage drinking party back in August gets 18 months of probation. In Hawaii this week, a grocery store provokes national attention for having a pregnant couple arrested for eating $5 sandwiches prior to paying for them, while their 3-year-old daughter gets to go play with CPS agents for 18 hours. And the store later drops the charges. In Ohio, the Trumbull County Child Protective Industry is being sued by a real dad whose kid was murdered by a foster mother. 7 Ohio teenagers were recaptured after running away from a group home that was run by an agency that was already dealing with the rape of a young child by her parents that took place during a supervised visit. A couple of foster parents from Arizona get wrongly billed for more than $100,000 for a foster child's hospital care. And finally tonight, in Wisconsin, a foster mother tells police to just put her foster daughter back into the system after she was caught shoplifting at the Fox Point Best Buy. For these stories and all the latest dirt on the child protective industry, visit www.legallykidnapped.com. And until next week, this is Baby LK, over and out.